A man is in custody after an 8-hour standoff in southeast Portland. It all started when a neighbor called to report seeing smoke.
When fire crews arrived on scene, they say a man confronted them with a knife. Fox Soul's Mackenzie Richmond joins us live with this story. Good morning.
Good morning. Portland police say someone called who lived in an apartment complex here near the intersection of Southeast Division and 43rd. They were reporting they could smell smoke coming from the building. And while they were on the phone with dispatch, the caller actually reported hearing several big bangs. Portland police and fire both responded to the scene just before 2 yesterday afternoon. Firefighters also smelled the smoke when they got there. They knocked down the apartment door to find out where it was coming from and were immediately confronted by a man with a knife. The firefighters backed away and let police take over after they determined nothing was actively burning. Police tried to talk with the man inside the apartment, but he refused and instead barricaded himself inside. For hours, the crisis negotiation team tried to talk to the man and convince him to surrender, but he didn't respond. The Special Emergency Reaction Team brought in canines, drones, robots, and irritant gases in hopes of, quote, safely resolving the situation peacefully. But the man still refused to come out. Now, just before 10 last night, officers finally were able to move in and arrested the man inside. The suspect has been identified as 28-year-old Elijah Dixon. One neighbor who asked to remain anonymous says Dixon has caused problems before, so they hope this arrest will finally keep him out of the building permanently.
It's becoming overwhelming for everybody. They need to get this guy out and not bring him back again, you know?
Dixon was booked into the Multnomah County Detention Center on several charges, including attempted arson in the first degree, unlawful use of a weapon, and a previous warrant for burglary in the first degree. Now, if there are any other developments in this case, of course, we'll continue to keep you updated. But for now, I'm Mackenzie Richmond for Good Day Oregon.